Hola. Okay, we are ready for the present tense of AR verbs. So first off, make sure that you know your subject pronouns. So the I, you, he, she, you need to know all of those. Yo, tú, él, ella. You need to know those in Spanish. You have to be able to know those to be able to connect with your verbs. Okay, Spanish has 3 categories of verbs. So all verbs in Spanish, the infinitive form of the verbs, will either end in an AR, an ER, or an IR. So that's the infinitive form. So that's the form before you change it. It's what I call the dictionary form of the verb. So if you looked it up in the dictionary, that's what you would find. And it's a verb basically without a subject or a tense. In English, it would be to and the verb. So for instance, to walk, to run, to ride, all of those are infinitives. In Spanish, the to is built in, and again, it's always going to end in one of those 3 endings. So when we conjugate a verb, that's when we change it from the infinitive, and that's when we give it a subject. So we give it a subject and a tense when we're changing it. Okay, verbs have 2 parts. So you have the root of the word and then, or the stem, whichever one you want to call it, and then the ending. So the ending is really what we're working with right now on changing. The root or the stem, thankfully for regular AR verbs in the present tense, these stay the same. And so the root or the stem is where you're going to find your meaning. So the ending is where you're going to find the tense and the subject, and the meaning of the word is going to stay within that root. Okay, so if we take a verb like hablar, which means to speak, what we're going to do is we're going to take off the ending. So we're going to remove it, and then we're going to add the new ending. So for yo, so if the subject is I, you're going to add an O. For tú, you're going to add an AS. For él, ella, or usted, we're going to add an A. For nosotros or nosotras, we're going to add amos, A-M-O-S. Vosotros, we're going to add ice. Be careful with that accent, so make sure you get the accent on there. You'll notice that when we learn the vosotros forms for the AR verbs, the accent's on the A. The ER verbs, the accent will be on the E, and for the IR verbs, the accent will be on the I. So it's actually pretty easy to remember. So this is vosotros or vosotras with ice. And then we have ellos, ellas, or ustedes. And so that would be with an an, with the AN. So we took that AR off, and now we're going to add those different endings on. Now what you could do, so I'm going to put the infinitive over here. And typically my chart's going to go left to right. I kind of messed up on my own spacing, or like not left to right, but 3 and 3. So anyway, as you're doing it, I would actually maybe not go straight down, but divide it. Okay, so we have hablar. So again, we're going to take that AR off. We're going to add our new ending. Okay, but I'm actually just going to go down the list and write my first few letters just so you can see that it's always the same. Okay, so then my endings. So we would add the O for the yo form, so we end up with hablo. Tú hablas. El, ella, usted habla. Nosotros hablamos. It would help if I didn't make a mistake. Hablamos. Vosotros habláis. And ellos, ellos, ustedes hablan. So you can, as long as you know that it's an AR verb and it's a regular AR verb, that now means that you can conjugate any single AR verb in the present tense. So let's do another one. Okay, and in your book, you should have a list of AR verbs. So again, that just means that you can conjugate. I'm trying to give my paper a second to dry before I flip it. But you can conjugate any of those verbs. Okay, so like I said, typically I like to do these in a chart form. Okay, and so what I would do, like if we were in a face-to-face class, the chart's not going to be beautiful, and that's okay. So I would create my chart. Okay, and then I would put the infinitive at the top of the chart. So let's do bailar. So bailar is to dance. And if you're taking these for your own notes, I would write down the English translation just to help you remember it. And so then you can go through, and you should somewhere in your class, I should have some handouts posted for you with these charts where you can actually just print them. And so every time you learn a new verb, you could fill out a new chart. Okay, so like I said, it wouldn't be pretty. That's okay. So bailar. So again, I'm going to take off the AR, right? And I'm going to add my endings. So I would recommend, if you go back, I'm going to go back for just a second. So if we go back to this, I would recommend that over and over and over again, o, as, amos, ais, an, say that. Say it, write it, spell it over and over again, just the endings, and then tag them on. Hablo, hablas, habla, hablamos, habláis, hablan. I knew I was going to smear stuff. So make sure that you do that as much as you can, and you will be surprised at how well that pattern and repetition will work for you. So you may feel silly, but really doing it over and over again is going to help you quite a bit. Okay, so back to our verb here. So we have bailar is to dance. Okay, so before I write it, while you're thinking about it, just think. So it's an AR verb, right? We're going to take off the AR and think about that ending. And so that ending would be an O. So for the yo form, we're going to have bailo. Now, what I didn't talk about before is sometimes you get that taste of Spanish and you're like, oh, well, gender, everything has to agree in gender, not verbs. So it does not matter whether I am male or female, it is yo bailo. As long as I'm the one doing it, it's going to be an O ending. Tú bailas. Él, ella, usted baila. Vosotros bailáis. Again, accent on the A. Oh my gosh. That's not vosotros. Sorry. Vosotros bailamos. Now vosotros. I was too excited. Bailáis. So just to repeat, I did it wrong. I fixed it. So nosotros bailamos. Vosotros bailáis. And ellos, ustedes bailan. My ink is smearing all over the place today, so I apologize for that. I'll clean it up when I do the PDF for you. But there it is. So that's any AR verb, o, as, amos, ais, an. That's all you got to do. Adios.